Rev your engines and fasten your seatbelts. It's time for Thunder Talk with Dan Bailey, keeping you up to date on everything going on this season at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Thunder Talk is powered by Arcadia Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Now, here's your host, Dan Bailey.
Hey, race fans, welcome to another edition of Thunder Talk. I'm Dan Bailey, enjoying the time as we get ready for a fabulous Friday night at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. This Friday night, MTS Kids Summer Celebration Night. Bring the entire family out. The kids are going to have a great time bringing back rides on the track. I guarantee you the youngsters will have a blast. That's this Friday night at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. I'm pleased to be joined on this week's edition of Thunder Talk by a gentleman who's turned many a lap at Mississippi Thunder Speedway, multi-time national champion Cory Crapser. Cory, welcome to this week's edition of Thunder Talk.
Oh, thanks for having me, Dan.
You know, I just laid down a pretty impressive statistic of yours, and I don't want it to zip past the listener like your number 07 might. Multi-time national champion in both WISSOTA ranks, 3 of them as a matter of fact, USRA B-Mod champions. You have enjoyed a lot of success in a relatively short career, haven't you?
Yeah, it seems like it's slowed down a little bit here lately, but yeah, it definitely took a little bit to start rolling. You know, I'm selling race cars and working with guys. I tell guys a lot that in a street stock, it took me 3 years to even win one feature, and then they just started coming after that. But a lot of guys get real impatient nowadays and think that they got to be winning right away, but you got to look and see there's so many good drivers in every class that it's getting hard.
I mentioned the championships, but you brought up the feature wins. 230 plus career feature wins. You've raced at 63 tracks through 10 states, won races at 51 of those 63 tracks, more than a handful of track championships. I mean, honestly, do you ever surprise even yourself when you think about some of these accomplishments that you've laid down in your racing career?
Yeah, you start thinking back on them, and I think we were just so busy racing so many nights out of the week. I mean, we kind of expected it when we got into some of the national titles with the B-Mods and street stock. I mean, we had very good equipment and good motors and stuff, and kind of get on a roll like that, and you kind of see it even like in sports where a guy gets just on a roll, and I mean, basically when you think you can do anything, it's pretty hard to stop someone, and it didn't seem every night. I mean, it did get to the point in some of the classes where, like, if you didn't win, you know, you get second and you're upset, and that's kind of what made me move up in the class ranking, just because you should never go to track and get second and not be happy. I don't think in any class, really. I mean, I know everyone wants to win, but you shouldn't be mad getting second.
And your success has continued off the track as well, what with your CRC Motorsports?
Yeah, that's kind of been fun. I mean, it's something I never seen coming. And you see a lot of drivers, once someone runs well, people want their equipment. I think most people feel that if they had similar equipment to the guy winning, that eventually they can figure it out. So I think that kind of started. Scott Bintz, the redheaded rebel from realtruck.com, he actually basically convinced me to sell him a car when I wasn't selling cars, and kind of got it all started. So I guess it's all his fault, but it is fun working. It's fun working with the guys. I felt like, especially racing with them at the same time, same class, felt like I learned stuff that helped me out also. You know, you just get more drivers and cars out there, the better support and info coming back. But there's a ton of friends I have now that if I weren't selling cars, I would never have met them, and pretty grateful for that.
I don't want to belabor the subject here, and I don't want to make you feel self-conscious or anything, but honestly, do you ever just sit back and just reflect on everything that you've accomplished in motorsports? I mean, you're only not even in your mid-30s quite yet, I don't think. So for a relatively young man, you've had a lot of success.
Yeah, I feel like, all them guys that I'm racing with now, it seems like are all 10 years younger than me, so it's almost like I am getting old. But yeah, just kind of, it was just different. Didn't really have the money to start in some of these higher classes like the guys do now. I mean, kind of had to start with what we could afford and just slowly work it up. So it just took a lot longer to get to the mods and run. I tried it one time earlier before I actually had a B-Mod and couldn't keep the engines together. Probably weren't buying the right ones and stuff like that. It just took a lot longer to get the mods. Maybe hung around some of them lower classes longer than needed to, but that's all we could afford, so we didn't really have any other choice.
So we've talked a lot about the success that you have enjoyed in the past, and you even mentioned this year that maybe it feels like things have slowed down a little bit, but let's delve into 2021. Results for you this year. You're up in the double digits for events, 20-plus events already as we approach the midpoint of the 2021 season. You're nearing double digits for top 5 feature feature finishes, but you haven't quite gotten that feature win this year. Your thoughts on 2021 for you as a driver?
Yeah, it kind of took a whole different approach this year. Kind of planned to run every week at Mississippi Thunder and at Deer Creek, try to see how the track point deal goes. Basically just kind of set some goals. Last year, COVID kind of was uncertain how it started, and then the second night out, I wrecked my car last year, so we sat home for a while till got it all back together. So didn't really race that much last year, but kind of made a point of trying to race all 3 nights of Mason City on Sundays this year just to see how everything went. Maybe, run weekly at some of the tracks to struggle, maybe learn, get a little bit better at them. But yeah, I think kind of turned it on here a little bit lately. Kind of gave up a win there early in the year at Mississippi Thunder when the World Outlaws were there that first night, but car was damaged from early wreck when Sanders spun out in front of me leading, but still think that's one I should have had. This last weekend, I felt like I would have liked to maybe got the second a little quicker at Friday night. I feel like I maybe had something there too. So I think the car, Zach Vanderbeek's helped me a lot on it, and it seems like we really got it close. Like last weekend was a really good weekend. Really just starting to turn, but you can't start 8th one night and 7th the other night, and what the guys are racing with, and it's just not that easy when it's not easy when they start behind you, much less when they start 3 rows ahead of you either. So
USRA modified field at Mississippi Thunder Speedway is a stacked field. You're currently sitting second in the point standings. Are you feeling pleased with 2021, at least at MTS, even though you don't have that feature win yet?
Yeah, I think it's coming too. I mean, there's no way that I can draw this bad all year. It's got to turn around. I said it last year when won the Casey Knudsen Memorial. I kind of been complaining all year I didn't draw well, and then I drew the front row that night. I'm like, I've been complaining about drawing. Now I drew front row. I better just win this, or I got nothing to complain about anymore. So it's a big deal. I mean, if you're not even the fastest guy and he's drawing the front row and you're drawing the 4th row, you basically need some miraculous thing to happen, whether it's them breaking or hitting it perfect that night. And I feel like car's there. I just need to make it a little easier on myself maybe. So, but yeah, I think the finishes we haven't finished outside top 10. So, I mean, I think finishing's a big deal. Just not having the DNS, not wrecking anything. That helps a lot. It makes it a lot easier to keep going every night when you're not rebuilding the car because you tore it up the night before. So I think it's about that time of year where guys start separating themselves that have been running well, and I think, I don't know, I'm pretty optimistic that we'll probably roll a few off here coming up.
When you do start collecting those feature wins in this 2021 season, who's going to be celebrating with you? And by that I mean, who's supporting Crapser Racing sponsorship-wise in the 2021 season?
We have a ton of help on guys. It's a lot of close friends too, that I don't know if they're always getting their money's worth, but they're helping me out a ton. But I think Scott Gadel with Subway and April and Dylan, they help me pick guys, basically anything they need help. I mean, they're always there for me one way or the other. Got Scott McKinnon up in Canada. Those guys haven't been able to race for a while. He's supported me the last few years on everything. GRP Motorsports, Greg Parent, huge supporter of everything in racing. If you pay any attention to GRP Motorsports, a lot of wing stuff, a lot of sprint stuff, but I'm one of the few mod guys. He's just like the greatest guy you'll pretty much ever meet, and I'm not taking that offense to anybody else. He's awesome. And Grant Sellsworth, he's not racing anymore, but Sellsworth Chevrolet, they've helped me since 2011. Helped me with my truck too, so keep us going up and down the road. That's half the battle. So, but it helps when you got a Chevy to start with. So, of course, Zach Vanderbeek talks about Zach. I mean, I sell cars, and I feel bad that I'm not as good of a support to my guys as Zach is to me. Just makes me try to be better. And then Jake Tim, of course, it's kind of cool to have a guy that you can race with, that you're battling with, but have OFI motors. He's building the motor. It built me the best motor, knowing that I'm just going out there just trying to beat him every night. So, I mean, you don't meet a lot of people in racing that are like that. Normally, everyone kind of holds a little bit back. I think that says a lot about Jake. And then Vincent Toole, of course, my employer. That's where I've worked for 15 years here now, and they support me. I was actually talking to my boss when we started this interview and told him I had to go, to go talk on the phone. So he's pretty understanding. He's been around racing too, so he knows how unintelligent we can be sometimes when it comes to sport, drivers and everything. So, and then of course my wife and kids, they're tagging along and coming with when they can, and just being understanding. And then my main pit guy is my cousin Ben. He drives a lot to get to all the tracks to come pit for me. He's always there. Probably the most reliable guy you'll meet. So we got a pretty good system going. It's coming together. We gotta get to that point.
Just before we started talking about supporters and sponsors, you had mentioned that even though this has been a good season, you feel like maybe you've turned a corner here recently and you feel like things are coming your way. Perhaps a couple of feature wins or even breaking into victory lane for the first time in 2021. So what's your plan for the rest of this 2021 season? We could call it the second half of the year.
Yeah, just going to try to run Fountain City every week, Mississippi Thunder and Deer Creek. And Mason City, they have a few shows here and there. I've been there 1 week, so try to run the 3 shows, stay close to home. This Friday we might go traveling, trying to find a show with being we're not on the card at Mississippi Thunder. But yeah, pretty much stay in this area. I think we'll try to go to Casson on Thursday night. Casson has their fair race. Pretty cool track that it's unfortunate they don't run weekly anymore, but try to support them when they do have their fair races.
Have you started planning out the long game for Cory Crapser? Have you started thinking what the future might look like beyond this year or maybe next year? Do you know where you're headed in the long run?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We got both my kids are running karts now here and there. We're not like a 4-night out of the week running around chasing go-karts, but they're starting to run a little bit, and they're in sports, and we'll just see kind of how it goes. I mean, this is, to me, the highest level of racing that I'll ever be in. I mean, running, probably never have a late model, so I mean, pretty much this is the class. I make it through this year before I figure anything else out. So you see how it goes. You know, it's back in the day, we just kind of committed to doing something and figure out how to do it, but years go by and there's a lot of other things going on. Kind of done everything. It's just hard to find something new that we haven't tried doing yet.
Well, Cory Crapser, I appreciate you joining us this week on Thunder Talk. I know you're no stranger to Victory Lane, and we'll probably end up talking at the very least once down in Victory Lane before this season is done. We'll be looking forward to celebrating with you at that time. But again, thank you very much for joining us on Thunder Talk this week.
No problem. Thanks, Dan, for having me.
Hey, race fans, don't forget this Friday night, special event at Mississippi Thunder Speedway, MTS Kids Summer Celebration Night with Hornets, Hobby Stocks, B-Mods, USRA late models, and micro sprints hitting the big third mile. In addition, a lot of fun activities for the youngsters. A first green flag following the official opening ceremonies at 7:30. And kids going to get rides in race cars. It's even the 7th MTS Free County Fans Night. Free admission into the grandstands if you can show proof of residence in Trempealeau County, Wisconsin, Mower County, Minnesota, or Fayette County, Iowa. You can get all the details by following Mississippi Thunder Speedway's social media platforms. And of course, don't forget to check out their website, MississippiThunder.com.
That was Thunder Talk, keeping you up to date on everything going on at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Thunder Talk is powered by Arcadia Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram.
You ever notice that when you're on a fishing trip, you drive your boat all the way to the other side of the lake because you think that's where the best fishing is? And the people staying at the cabins on that side of the lake, well, they come and fish where your cabin is. You don't have to drive a long ways to catch the big fish. And at Arcadia Motors, you don't have to drive a long ways to get the best deal on a new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram truck. The best deals are right in the bay next to your cabin. Take the short, scenic drive to Arcadia Motors. ArcadiaDodge.com.